Welcome back to the Rock and Roll channel with a very, very special guest today. The one and the only TJ Pittinger from Double Fries No Slaws. Slaw, sorry. And any other no outlets, fresh off of ACC Media Day. Thanks everyone for joining us for this morning session. It's my first one, so thanks for being my first here, TJ. I figured we'd talk a little ACC Media Day. Always the elephant in the room of conference realignment. And I think even if Florida State did make an announcement, it would be like still the elephant in the room.
Sure.
The way this topic's gone on so long. But I figured we'll start with a little first let's start with ACC Media Day. You were there for the Florida State part. What surprised me was so many people were blown away by Mike's impassioned speech at the podium part, not the local part. He's like that. Maybe I'm being a hater here, so bear with me. I want to get your impression, but give me your impression first on what you thought of it, the event, how he was, everything. Welcome, by the way.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I thought it was a little bit strange. Not good, not bad. Like I want to say, like before I say any of this, it's not going to have any impact on the season, right? Like in fact, nothing that was said Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday in Charlotte is going to have any impact on the season, right? Whether it's Castellanos is calling Alabama or none of that matters, right? Like it's just all words. But I did think, I mean, like there are times where Mike does that for sure, but I believe this was his 5th ACC kickoff event. And it's the first one I've ever seen him do that. Like it felt like a locker room speech. And right. You look at like the other 16 coaches that went up, or is it 18 now? Whatever. You know, you look at the other like nobody else really did that. I thought it was a departure from the way that he normally is with the media. Now that's not good or bad. I just think it was different. And so what was the craziest thing to me was we did kind of a local like a private meeting with some of the, like the War Chant guys were there and the 247 guys were there and the Tallahassee Democrat and the local, just whatever, the Rivals guys, just everything. We were all there with him and it was a really small group of, 15-ish people around him. And it was really just for the people that cover FSU. And then then we go to the podium and then, where he's in that big room. And then we go back into that breakout room and in there, it's a lot of those local guys again, but then it's just open to anybody. Anybody at the ACC kickoff can go, whether you cover Georgia Tech or Miami or Clemson or UNC, or you're just covering the team from a national perspective or whatever. And we talked to them for like 25 minutes in that pre-meeting, and he was just so chill, so calm, like very, very normal, like just like the way you and I are talking right now. And then like 5 minutes later, he goes to the podium room and he is like hellfire and brimstone, like sounding like a Baptist preacher, like letting people have it. And again, that's not good or bad. The reason I think he did is because 90% of the time when the camera panned to him last year, he looked like a sad puppy dog, upset about the way that the season was going. And so I just think that he was trying to get some energy, get some hype, motivate the fan base, motivate the players, which is fine. I have no problem with any of that. But it was strange to be in a little room with him where he's just kind of talking with you like you and I are talking, and very chill, very relaxed. And you get in the next room, you're like, wait a minute, was that the same guy that we were just talking with 5 minutes ago?
Right.
All that said, I don't think it matters. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's bad. I thought it was funny. I saw some good jokes from it. I saw some people, whatever. I laugh about everything. I thought it was different than he normally is at an event like that, at like a media type event. Like he went on TV right after that and they asked him about it and he wasn't like yelling on TV. He wasn't, fired up doing like he didn't have that same energy, I guess, on the TV or before or after. So I don't know. I thought it was weird, not in a bad way, not like, oh my gosh, fire Norvell. Or, I just thought it was different. But hey, man, you're the coach, bro. You do what you think is best for the team and the program and the roster and all that. And we'll cheer when, football gets here in 33 days.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't shocked. If you've ever been to one of his booster tours, if you meet him,
that's what it felt like. It felt like a booster tour, not a media event for sure.
Exactly. That's why I wasn't. I mean, people were going nuts about it online and everywhere, and I was like, I've seen that 3 times.
Yeah.
I've seen, or maybe more. I forgot how many I've been to, but he's chilling the line when you go take a picture with him. And he's like, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. And then he gets on stage and he flicks the switch. and he goes into salesman mode and preacher mode and everything. And a lot of people said, and this has happened, when he did that for a while and we were winning, they were like, okay, this is okay now. But if we don't do well, people are going to get tired of it real quick.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the other day when he did it, I don't say he got criticism, but we're talking about it, where if we were 10-2 last year, nobody would care. We wouldn't be talking about that.
And I understand why Mike did it, but I also understand the fan base's, maybe not criticism, right? Like, I'm not trying to use that word, but maybe the eye roll of the fan base. Like, right. I kind of get it. Like, if you're the fan base, and I would never say this to Mike directly, but if you're the fan base, I think you very much have the attitude of shut up and win, right? I don't care about anything else. I don't care. Like, listen, I just want to see wins. I just want you to not embarrass us again this year. And so I think that's where the fan base goes, dude, talk your talk when you're winning, like just go out and perform. Like, that's all we really care about. We don't need the hype. We don't need the excitement. We don't care if it looks good. We don't care if you beat Alabama by 1 or 30, just win the game, right? Like, or just win your game. So I get the fan base being like, oh boy, here we go with it. I get both sides of it for sure.
I mean, there's nothing he could have said to instill confidence in the fan base. He could have got up there, been totally chill like the others, and we'd have been like, well, obviously he's not motivated after last
right
year.
Yeah, he was a lose-lose.
We say there's nothing he could have done. So I'm just pointing out the observation of it. But I've seen him do this before. It's not like I didn't take it as, man, this is out of character for him. Is this a new Mike? I've seen him do it several times. So I wasn't. He even did it recently in May when I saw him.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a side of him he has. And when he wants to unleash it, he unleashes it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. But other than that, what were your impressions of ACC Media Day? The players were there. I thought they spoke well. I mean, there's nothing they could do to get you more excited. There's nothing until the ball's kicked off. There's nothing they could say or do to get us excited.
Yeah, most of these events are pretty overhyped. Now, I will say, as much crap as we give the ACC, this is a really good event. Like, it is a phenomenal event. And shoot, you should apply and try and go next year. It's a lot of fun, and shoot, they'll let me in there, so they'll let anybody in that thing. They put on a really good event. Right now, is it the SEC's craziness? Is it the Big Ten's hype? No, it's not. But man, everything is like first class. I mean, as much as we give the ACC grief, it really is a good event, and it has been for a long time. They really do a good job with it. Now, do you maybe take issue with some of the things that are said by the commissioner or just whatever? Yeah, of course.
That's right.
Man, they feed you several times. They have after meeting, events, for the media with drinks and appetizers and stuff like that. Like, everybody's just walking around. Like, Dabo's just and it's not like it's a bunch of media guys. So it's not a bunch of fans. I mean, I'm there, but like, it's not just a bunch of fans that are like berating the coaches. Like, oh, can I get an autograph or a picture? Or they like, it's just like, EJ Manuel's walking around. It's not a big deal. He's just another guy there. Belichick, maybe a little bit, because that's so new. But like most of these guys, like Norvell's walking around, Dabo's walking around.
Right.
It's not that big of a deal. They're there every year.
Players are walking around.
Yeah. Like, it's cool. Like, and you can just see, it didn't happen this year, but last year, Kevin Jennings, the quarterback at SMU, was playing the video game. And I sat down and just talked with him while he was playing the video game. I didn't record. I didn't pull my phone out. I just talked. Hey, man. And at that point, he was in a QB battle. He didn't actually start the year for SMU, if you remember that. He went in and subbed himself in. I said, hey, did you sub yourself in? Because he was on defense at the time. And he said, oh, yeah, of course I did. And I was like, yeah. So you just get to kind of like interact with these guys in a different setting. And so it's an A+ event. There's no doubt. Now, so I'll give the ACC some credit 3 days out of the year, I suppose. As far as what happened there, it was cool to see. Like you said, there's nothing that any of the players like Daryl Jackson, Richie Leonard, Thomas Castellanos, Earl Little, there's nothing that's going to be said that you're like, oh, wow. Now I feel like, man, we got this. What was cool was to kind of get some of their perspective. Like, I asked Richie Leonard, hey, did it surprise you a little bit that you were picked? Like, the offensive line doesn't get a lot of love, and you spent 8 games of last year's season hurt, not even able to play. Does it surprise you that you're the one that's here or not? He's like, man, I was just humbled. I was blessed. It's cool to hear that from these guys, because we think like, oh man, they're football, they don't care about. Now they do. Like, they are people, and they do have emotions. And it was cool to hear Earl Little talk about his dad, and it was cool look, Castellanos has gotten so much hype and so much negative backlash about the things that he said, but even he like really dove into like, man, yeah, we all talk and we all say a bunch of things but like nothing matters until you go out and play. And so he did kind of show a humble side too, which was good. It's cool to get some of their perspective. I don't think anything that's said during those 3 days matters from a gameplay perspective, but hearing some of their perspective, hearing some of their thoughts, and maybe jumping a little deeper than just like, oh, so are people ask the dumb questions like, are you excited for the Alabama game? And it's like, of course they are, like they're human, but kind of diving into like what they actually think, like that's kind of cool to get to know them a little bit better from that angle. So that's probably what I enjoyed the most out of all of it.
I mean, the event's come a long way compared to what it used to be.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, most teams, I enjoyed the event as a fan, not coming off the year we had. I know it sounds cynical, but I always say, oh man, if the coaches are out there and the players are out there, that means fall camp's right around the corner.
Yeah.
And that's what it's designed for, obviously. But I always liked it. This year I went in like, oh, whatever. I mean, they did as good as they could have done. Was I surprised Richie went? Yeah. But was I glad he went after seeing his interviews? You bet.
Yeah.
He was fantastic there. So I think they did a good job there. It is what it is. Like you said, it's talking season.
Yeah.
We're still in talking season. So that being said, fall camp is scheduled to start this week. The players report tomorrow. Camp starts Wednesday. Man, I know I'm dating myself. I remember when it was just the freshmen who would report for the first couple of days, and then the rest would join. But that being said, Mike has not announced media policy for the fall. I'm guessing it's the same email as the spring.
I would think so. It doesn't really impact me because I'm not up there, so it doesn't. I don't.
That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, I don't really care. It doesn't. When I learned stuff about what happened in practice, it's just all from like somebody that works up there, and is actually watching practice. So whether the media is there or not, I've never really cared too much. I do think it's interesting by Norvell to change up his policy, but that's a whole nother conversation to kind of think about that. I would assume it stays the same. I would assume that the policy from spring stays the same. I spoke with somebody who didn't confirm it, but kind of was leaning that way. It wasn't Mike, but somebody who is on staff. I did speak with somebody up in Charlotte who was leaning that way, thinking it was going to go that way. Works kind of in a media role for the team, but said like, well, it's not confirmed yet, but if this is to happen again, so I think it'll stay the same. I mean, shoot, it's Monday, right? So we're recording this and they start on Wednesday. So I'm sure we'll find out today or tomorrow. They'll have to let those guys know what they're allowed to do, not allowed to do. Again, I think that's just like, ACC kickoff, ACC media days, is a zero impact on what happens on the field. Like Daryl Jackson's not going to get distracted because Sano's standing on the side or something like that. I think
that's not why we went 2-10 last year.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. It sounds good. Like, oh, we're going to keep the distractions out. I don't think it matters. So we'll see.
Yeah, I personally, and we won't get into it. I like it. I do believe in outside distractions. I'm not, like I said, I don't think because Warchant was there or 247 or somebody or TJ's out there, that affected us on a third down attempt. Right. I know that, but you know what? You're installing a new offense. You're installing stuff. Maybe it's less distractions in the sense of a picture might not get posted of a receiver making a great play, and then Mike's on the phone with the agent for 2 hours after practice.
Yeah. I think there's some
which is a big factor.
I struggle to see like it having a massive impact, but I mean, shoot, if they turn it around and they win 8-9 games or something like this year, then man, good on Mike, right? Like he found a subtle tweak. That's not the only tweak he's made. Like it gets a big deal about it, but like he talked about making other tweaks and how they, some of the team building stuff they have done, some of the team building stuff they haven't done. And so I think when you're Norvell, you're trying to make those little tweaks and, did the media coverage last year, I am certainly not blaming them, but did the media coverage last year have expectations a little bit higher than they should have been? Probably. And so maybe Mike's trying to temper that a little bit. Yeah. Now, by the same token, Mike also came out and said this is the biggest, fastest try. So Mike also contributed to that. So I'm not blaming the media, but I think when you go through 2-10, you're trying to make any little subtle tweaks you can. And the media thing was a very small portion of that. Yeah. And if Mike turned enough, levers and buttons and pushed enough things, maybe we get back, maybe those little tweaks do help. Maybe not, right? Like at the end of the day, on a third down, I don't think any of the players are thinking about any of this stuff. But
No.
if you make enough little tweaks,
Mike's not saying if they don't convert, man, why'd I let the media in?
Yeah. Why didn't I keep it out? But I think you're just trying to tweak anything you can to try and give you a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah.
And if he's done that, then, good on him.
Because everything is prepared during the week. I mean, the game
Sure.
stuff is what it is. So I see where he's coming from there. And for example, and I've said this, let's say Gus Malzahn was his number one guy, the only guy he wanted to run the offense. I'm sure there were other people, but let's just say that was the guy. He wasn't going to let media access stop him from getting Gus. If Gus said, I can't come there if you have media in my face all the time there, he wasn't going to say, sorry, Gus, go elsewhere or stay at UCF. I have to have media access there.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to go scorched earth in a way.
Yeah, and I think Gus prefers it closed. Gus has always been like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think when you add all those things up, it is what it is. I don't know how much you follow some of the other stuff. I don't think the coverage though, I think it's in some ways, I think it's actually helped the beat. This is my personal opinion. And I had Brendan on my channel not too long ago. I should have asked him, but I think it's helped the beat. I have asked him privately, and I won't answer his private conversations if he doesn't want it to come out. But my take is that it's actually helped because they can actually report on more things now,
right.
Based on what they're hearing. Now because the caveat for them getting to go to practice was like, hey, you can see everything, but you can't talk about everything. Now they can talk about everything, like what they're hearing. There were even like gray areas where it'd be like, hey, even if you hear something, you can't talk about it because it happened at practice because you're coming in. So now I think they have a little bit more freedom. Is that better for them? I think it takes more work for them because they got to be on the phones more and they can't just rely on what they saw. But I think the coverage might have even gotten better for the outlets that really go out there and hustle and grind and really get after it. And different outlets do to varying degrees. Different subscribers care about different things. But I'll actually think that I think it's gotten better. And
he's still transparent, Mike.
He is. Yeah. He lets people know what's going on.
So
they're out there every day. They do the interviews and stuff after practice.
Right. With Jimbo, you might have got him once, even though practice was closed, you might have got him once a week.
Yeah. And Mike did actually open up
5 days a week.
I think Mike opened up at least one scrimmage last year to the media.
Yeah.
This spring.
Mm-hmm.
So last cycle is kind of everything's a year, I guess. But last cycle in the spring, I think he opened up one scrimmage. So it's not like he cut him off completely. So I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah, that's why I didn't get the criticism. And I'm not a apologist for him. I think you know that by now. But I was like, if you're still in front of the media every day after practice, because it's funny, I had an Ohio State guy on my show a couple weeks ago. He didn't know about how Mike used to run practice.
Yeah.
He goes, wait, they have full access to practice? I said, yeah, but they can't report injuries, formations, or depth chart.
Yeah.
He goes, so how does the media do their job? I couldn't do my job if Ryan Day had this policy. And I said, that was interesting. I said, well, they took it away now. He goes, great. Now you'll enjoy it more.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. It's basically, he said what you said there. He said, you can't do your job with those kind of limitations. You're seeing and you can't report. He goes, how do you be a reporter then? But so what are you looking for early in fall camp? Obviously, there's no media access, and it doesn't affect us. But what are you looking for early? Because like we said, there's nothing they could say or do to get us more or less pumped for Bama. I think we're kind of going in as a whole fan base, like, man, after last year, kick the ball off and let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
Last year we were so pumped for Ireland and the team, and obviously different this year. What are you looking for?
I think it's about how the two biggest things that I think I have questions on are, well, I guess, so I'll go three. I'll go top three things. One is just how Castellanos looks on an in and out basis, because what he is known for is, and I asked him about making like spectacular plays, and I thought he had a good answer. He talked about, listen, you don't go out there trying to make a spectacular play. You just kind of have to react to things, and you just try and make the simple play, and sometimes that turns into something great. But I think what's big is you can't make spectacular plays in fall camp. Like, you just, because as soon as, you think about like getting out of a sack, you don't get out of a sack. As soon as they touch you or even get close, they're blowing that play dead. And so how does Castellanos, the first thing would be, how does he just handle the simple stuff? Because that's what fall camp is going to be. Can you hit consistently the wide receivers? Can you consistently get the guys you want to? The offensive line, is my second one. How well do they gel together? I asked Richie about that. How well do you think you guys have gelled together? Now, of course, he's going to give a good answer there. He's not going to say, dude, I don't even know those guys. But he talked about how they really have tried to build that camaraderie.
Right.
You got 5 new guys starting together that have never started together ever, right? And so with that, how does that look?
With the
new quarterback and new system.
Yeah.
So and 4 of them are transfer. Well, 5 of them are transfers. Richie was here a year before. Yeah, so you got a good defensive line you're up against. So Castellanos, the offensive line, and then the defensive line depth. I really like Darrell Jackson. I like James Williams. I like a lot of the starters that they've got on defense. But how does that depth on the defensive line? How much are they able to rotate? And how much of a drop off is it? You remember in 2023 when the offensive or the defensive line was spectacular with Fisk and Verse and all those guys. Peyton was able to be in there. Farmer was in there. There wasn't much of a drop off. Now that's not to belittle, obviously when Fisk and Verse were at their height, like nobody was as good as them, but you weren't dropping off to just like a third or fourth stringer. You had Farmer behind him. You had Peyton. You had other guys that could step in.
Those were guys who would start at the majority division.
For sure. I don't know that Florida State has that, but I mean, I think Darrell Jackson could start at most places in this conference and really a lot of places across the country.
James, maybe.
But how good are the guys behind them? And so the depth of the defensive line, I think, is really important to me. So those are my top 3: QB, O-line, and then defensive line depth.
I'm curious about James because he was a lot of games didn't play as much at Nebraska last year. He was like a third down guy. He was a little undersized. He's put the weight on, but a lot of times they put the weight on after spring and through spring, and then after fall camp, you see how big they really are.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how he holds the weight, how he maintains the weight. Can he be an every down defensive end? They say he can be.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. I think he can be really good. I think he's got a chance to have a really, really good year. But you got to go out. I thought the same last year too about some of the guys. So it's about playing.
I've had people say to me, just why aren't you excited? Why aren't you excited? It's football season. I'm like, did you see last year? So that's why. Am I excited for football back? Yeah, of course. But you named some of the key things. I'm curious about the receivers.
Yeah.
And the timing with the quarterback, like a lot of things. How Thomas really is gelling. Because he sat out a lot of spring, from what I heard, which is fine. As long as he knows the offense, I'm fine with. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Anything else from fall camp you got your eye on, or those are the key things?
Yeah, those are my big 3.
Secondary too.
Things like keeping guys healthy, right? There's always 1 or 2 injuries in fall camp that you're just like, we did not need that to happen. And unfortunately, because of the way we recruited, I don't think we have a lot of guys that can just step in and, if one of your top guys gets hurt, I think that's kind of trouble. So, I mean, more than anything else, it's guys staying healthy. And then those are my big 3. Yeah, secondary. I mean, how the linebackers play, how aggressive they really are. I think all that matters too. I mean, it's a minor thing, but you think about like if Castellanos goes down, like what's your confidence level in the season, right? And so even if he was down for a game, are you confident? Like I feel really good that Florida State's going to beat like Wake Forest. But if you don't start Castellanos, are you confident in that? And if he's just out, say he's not out for like season or anything, but he's just out of game. He's a little banged up and needs a game to get back. I'd love for either Brock or Sperry to really step up and be a true backup for you right now. I mean, I don't know that you have a lot of confidence there, but that would be something that would be nice to see. It's a minor want because I think you're kind of sunk without Castellanos anyway. But I think that's something to kind of watch. Does somebody separate from that group?
I don't think it's a thing there. I mean, they brought him in to be the team there.
Yeah.
They put all their eggs in his basket. So, yeah, they have to manage him properly during the fall camp. I don't want to hear a Sheva Purdy. Hey, we just wanted him to go live since he's new.
Yeah.
But I still haven't forgot that. So, we talked about this before. And if anybody else has any comments on the fall camp, let us know. But there's really not much we can talk about. Tomorrow's just heights and weight day. North Carolina rumors came out the other day about a potential move to the SEC, which I don't think is a surprise to anyone. Do you think this expedites the talk of Florida State leaving at some point more? Has your timetable changed at all since the settlement? We haven't spoken since the settlement. What do you think on conference realignment? because I think at some point it needs to come up again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I mean, I want to say the date for letting the ACC know is very soon. It's either still like right around August 15th for next year, right? For the 2026 year. It's either right around August 15th or with the new settlement. And I apologize for not knowing this just off the top of my head. With the new settlement, they might have moved that back. They might have moved that back to like July 30th or August, or July 31st or August 1st, which is coming up even quicker, right? Not that they're super far apart, right? You're either talking 2 or 3 days or 15, 16 days. So still within 2 weeks. I don't think that somebody's going to get to, August 30th and be like, oh man, if only we had 2 more weeks. Like if they know they're going, they're going. I would be pretty surprised if we got any news before August 15th. So I'll say that. I think all of the teams that are in the ACC right now are probably in the ACC again in 2026. And then the season will quiet all of the talking. We won't hear anything about it through the season. And then I think once December gets here, once January gets here and we get through all the portal craziness and get through the playoff and all that, I think then at that point, we will start to hear it kind of crank back up, because then what do you have coming up? Well, you have the meetings in Amelia Island. You have all the talk of the offseason, and that's when it kind of cranks back up. You won't have the settlement to talk about anymore. People will talk about. So I actually think that maybe you'll hear a little bit over these next couple of weeks. I don't think anything will happen. But then I think, once we get to the offseason, late January, February, that's where it'll start to kick back up. It honestly wouldn't shock me if 2026 was somebody's last year. I'm not predicting that. I'm not saying like I definitely think UNC's out or I definitely think Florida State's out, but it wouldn't shock me if a move was made before that 2030 timeline. Now it's obviously more expensive. It's cheaper to wait until 2030. Your buyout goes down to 75 million instead of I think it'd be like 130-ish if you're doing it in 2027. But I do think that there's a chance that you could see somebody move a little quicker. I mean, I think UNC always wanted to get out just for political reasons, for somewhat loyalty reasons. They didn't jump in the same way that Florida State and Clemson did. But I think that their mindset was exactly the same as Florida State's and Clemson's. They want to compete at the highest level. They went out and hired Belichick. They've got a very good athletic program in general. They're really good in basketball, or historically have been. They're really good in a lot of the Olympic sports. Women's hoops, soccer, baseball is really good. Softball is getting better. I think they want to compete at the highest level, and they know they can't do that in the ACC. And so their thoughts have always been the same as Florida State's. They just didn't quite have the the gumption, the gonads to go out and try and make something happen.
Say that, but they were also stuck with NC State.
Yeah, for sure. And so it made it tough.
We didn't have that.
It made it tough for them from a couple of aspects to be able to go and do what Florida State did. But I think that their mindset was like, hey, we're gonna sit back on our hands and wait until Florida State breaks this out, then we're gonna go do it.
Didn't they explore the lawsuit, like spend money?
They did, yeah. They were doing stuff behind kind of closed doors to try and figure out what they could do.
I'm not defending them. They didn't. Florida State was the one who's saved a lot of schools right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Above Clemson, because we were the first ones to jump in. So that's why I'm wondering, because I remember when UCLA and USC announced for the Big Ten, that's when Florida State to themselves said, oh, this is getting serious.
Yeah.
And that's when the wheel started turning. And motions for the lawsuit, everything. Now I'm wondering with UNC if that will – now they haven't announced yet, obviously. That'll change things. If they're saying, wait, if these rumors are coming out, and who knows if they're valid or not.
I think the SEC really would love to, and I don't know that this – yeah, and I think ESPN would more so even than the SEC. I think ESPN would like to take advantage of some of these Belichick matchups. Well, I don't think he's coaching in 2030, right? He's so old now. And so, like, if you want to try and take advantage of some Belichick type matchups, I saw that 8 or 9 of their 12 games are already like slated for ESPN programming, and like, and they've sold out season tickets this year. Now their stadium's not anything like Dokes or anything like that, but there is a lot of excitement there. And I think if ESPN feels like they could capitalize on that, because I think they think UNC is going to end up in our conference in one of these 2 big conferences anyway. So would it make sense to get them a couple years early to try and get some of this Belichick hype?
It'd have been there anyway with the Belichick.
And so if you wait till 2030 and you're UNC, you're never getting a Belichick versus whoever, Kirby or Sark or any of these guys. So if you can do a little bit early, does it make sense? I mean, I think so. If you're ESPN, I think it'd be worth the money that you would end up making. So maybe they help them out a little bit. And with that, I mean, I would be pretty surprised if Florida State and others don't kind of go around that same timeline. So a UNC move earlier is probably good for Florida State, because
that's what I'm trying to say. I think it expedites things for us. We can, because that would man, would that be a gut punch to the conference?
Sure. Yeah.
So any newcomers? You talked about Castellanos. Obviously, he's technically a newcomer. Any newcomers, freshmen that you're keeping an eye on this year? Newbies.
I think the one that has the most excitement, I'm certainly, not breaking any news here, but I think everybody's really excited to see what the running back can do, Ousmane Kroma. I think there's a chance. Now, I don't think he goes off against Bama or anything like that. You remember Dalvin didn't go off until that Louisville game, which was game 5 or 6 of that 2014 season. And he really only did that because Pender ended up getting hurt. But I do think that there are less elite backs ahead of him. He could certainly make an impact earlier, not be Dalvin Cook by any means, because I would never say any running back is going to be that good. But I think he could make a pretty big impact as a freshman. I think Boggs, the kid that flipped from UCF, could certainly make an impact. I think Kevin Wynn on the defensive line, we were talking about depth there earlier. I think there's a chance he could. Defense is tough to jump in, especially in the trenches. So I don't expect that to be a week 1 thing or anything like that. Those would be the guys that I would look at to have the biggest chance. Chase Lofton at tight end. I'm probably reaching there because I do think they like their tight end room a lot. And I think it would take a lot for him to jump over Thomas and Biscuit and other guys. But Chase Lofton at tight end, you could maybe use him in some packages. But those would be the guys I would look at to have the best chance early.
Yeah, those are the guys I'm looking as well. Any portal guys, obviously, Squirrel White.
Yeah, I think Squirrel and Deuce will be your 1 and 2. I love Jeremiah Wilson at defensive back, at cornerback. I think he'll be your cornerback 1, and he'll be really, really good. I was watching something the other day, and it was a simulation, and he ended up playing he ended up transferring to another school. That was, it was cool to see him, and he absolutely lit it up. Now again, that was a simulation and nothing to be taken seriously. But I think Jeremiah Wilson could be really, really good for you at cornerback and really lock down one of those two sides for you. So he's one that I think is really big. I like some of the linebackers they brought in. We talked about James Williams at defensive end. I think he'll be really big for you as well. So, yeah, I like a lot of the transfers. And again, I think Gavin Sawchuk at running back. I think he's really good. I mean, Florida State fans will remember he lit them up for over 100 yards and at least one score in that Cheez-It Bowl in 2022. I think he's a really good running back, and it wouldn't shock me at all if he got a lot of the early snaps. Roy Dell's there. They've got other running backs, but I really do like Gavin Sawchuk a lot, transfer from Oklahoma.
Yeah, people say watch out for that guy because he came in after spring, so it's hard to tell. Okay, so obviously Mike's on the hot seat this year. There's no arguing that. Do you think he turns it around this year, if you had to guess?
I mean,
obviously, this is not a right or wrong. I'm not going to say, "Oh, you said this on this day."
Oh, it don't bother me.
Yeah,
I think they'll be a lot better than they were last year. I think the schedule sets up easier. I think they have they have a quarterback that can go out there and win them some games. At the same time, Castellanos will go out there and probably cost them a game or two, right? So I think you'll balance out there. I mean, I think the most likely for them, and this is what Vegas has, and so I'm not breaking any news here, but I think what's most likely is 6 or 7 wins. And I think that's probably enough to save Mike's job. It's not enough to make the fan base happy. It would make next year really uncomfortable at times based on how they're able to perform. But I think 6 or 7 wins is most likely. I think there are 4 games that are incredibly tough to see a path to victory at this moment. Yes. But we haven't seen this team play, right? But I think right now it'd be hard for me to predict that they're going to be Alabama, Miami, Clemson, or Florida at the end of the year. And so with that, to me, 8-4 is probably about the best you could do from a season outlook. That'd be a game more than Vegas thinks you're going to win. If you think that maybe you upset one of those teams, I mean, I think 9 wins would make the fan base pretty happy. I mean, is it the Florida State standard? Probably not, but understanding where we're at, 9 would make everybody thrilled. But I mean, I don't think you can just say, okay, well, you're going to lose those 4, and then you just got to beat everybody else. It's really hard to just go beat everybody else. Virginia Tech is still a decent program. I think NC State is a program you got to go on the road and play. Pitt was on a 7-game winning streak before they kind of fell off last year.
On the road at night.
Yeah, you've got games that are tough. Now, I think they beat Wake and Stanford and the 2 FCS kind of programs they play. So I think they're going to get more wins, but I don't think anything's just like a surefire, like, oh yeah, you absolutely can't lose this game. I think they'll beat Virginia. I think they've got a good chance against Virginia Tech, but I struggle to see that 8 is certain. I think it's probably 6 or 7. So, I mean, to answer your question, I mean, yeah, he can turn it around, but I don't know that winning 6 or 7 games gives you the confidence that like, oh yeah, we're back on the right track. 8 or 9 probably would give you a little more confidence, but I think it would be tough.
No, I agree. I don't. I mean, the dogs came off him a little bit middle of June, end of June when he turned around recruiting. We think obviously that means nothing until they sign. I think that's what was really fuming the fans this offseason was our recruit. Now, obviously, it's hard to recruit 2 and 10 with a new coaching staff, but there was a lot of factors. And when I always look for trends. When I start to see the media turn on him, which was starting to happen, now they've backed off because of the recruiting. So those are the trends I'm looking with. He can hopefully, in his mind, he wants to pull a Leonard Hamilton where he says, man, give me another year or two. Look who I got coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, if he doesn't have – I mean, Leonard Hamilton doesn't – if for those who don't know, has that John Isaac class coming in. He was probably going after that year.
Yeah. I think but I do think the recruiting's been better. But I still don't know if it's good enough to extend, right? It's kind of just been in line with what he's done over these 4 or 5 years. Like they've got a class ranked in the top 15 right now. That I don't think that's enough to say that that's too much of a departure from what he's done. He's always had a top 20 class outside of the very first year, like with being COVID and stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. And I like Mike a lot personally. I think he's a great guy. I think he's so much fun to be around. Yeah, but like, I'm trying
to just dog him. He's a great dude.
If he had like a top 7 class, I think you could say like, oh man, like he's really building something, like it's getting better. But I don't know that even the recruiting is enough right now. Now, once we get to signing day, we'll see how the season goes. Like that's kind of what it all come down to. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's kind of calmed some concerns. And I'll say this, he's recruiting better right now than I expected him to. He's definitely doing a better job than I thought coming off of 2 and 10. But still not good enough at Florida State. You know, you don't get to shoot yourself in the foot and then, you know, get a 15-minute head start on a marathon, right? Like you have to, it's your fault that you went 2 and 10. And so, yeah, I mean, doing better is a positive, but it's still not good enough. And that's kind of that's the tough, you know, he likes to use the word climb. That's the tough hole that he has to climb out of right now. It's possible. I just think it's probably a long shot.
No. And likelihood is if you don't have a great year, you're not keeping all those kids.
Yeah.
So you don't have that to fall back on.
Right. If you just lose 2 of your top kind of guys, that class is down around 17, 18, you know, and then you're saying the same thing as always.
Which is what he usually bats at.
Yeah.
Which is, unfortunately. That's why I've been tired of hearing, man, just keep it close against Bama, look respectable, and take it from there if you lose. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not saying we're going to beat Bama because I'd be crazy. But if that's the standard we're going in with year 6 of a head coach who's making $10 million a year, that off the bat is not good.
With a crazy expensive staff and a really expensive, roster, you know, it's not one of the top rosters in college football, but it's still a top paid roster. Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, listen, I'll tell you, it's kind of like Notre Dame 2021, where they lost Notre Dame by 3, but everybody kind of felt good because you were a 3-touchdown dog in that game. Yeah. I will say, if they lose to Bama by 3 and play relatively well, and Bama just ends up being the better team, I hate the silver lining crap, but I mean, you'd feel better about that than losing by 20, right? Like, I mean, you can have varying levels of stuff,
but not in year 6 versus year 2 coming off a COVID year.
But then I think it's what you do with after that, because if you go lose to Bama by 3. You can't slip up on the road at Virginia because Bama is a much better team than the Virginias. Right. You lose to Bama by 3, you need to go out and beat Miami, right? Like that, they're not like Bama would be favored against Miami in a head-to-head on a neutral site, right? And you get them at home
against Florida too. They're favored.
Like you can't go out and play really well, and that was the problem in 2021. You lost to Notre Dame by 3, but then you went out and lost to Jacksonville State right after that. So you can't do that, right? You can't. Yeah. Oh, you played really well against Bama. Maybe you're turning things around, and then Miami beats you by 17, or you lose to Virginia on the road, or Clemson beats you by 30. I think you have to, if you're able to take that silver lining moral victory away from Bama, you can kind of do that, but you gotta then pay it off. You gotta upset somebody. You gotta win the games you're supposed. You can't be losing to Pitt if you lost to Bama by 3. You know, so
right.
I think it's what happens in that game is very important. Don't get me wrong. But if you're able to play that game close and take a moral victory away, you got to turn that moral victory into some real victories. Hey, guys, we were this close against Bama. We can beat anybody on this schedule. I think Clemson's better than Bama, so maybe that's a stretch. But, hey, guys, we almost beat Bama. We got to beat everybody else, right? We got to go out and turn that into real wins. And if you lose to Bama, but then you go 9-3, yeah, we're good. I think we're all good with that, right? Like, is 9-3 where we want to be? But like, I think that's what you got to turn it into. You can't lose to Bama by 3 and play really well and then finish 5-7 or 6-6, because then it's like, dude, what'd you do with the rest of the year? So that game is really important, but then how you respond after that game is even more important. If you
it's not the biggest, whether you win or lose that game, it's not a true indicator or barometer for the whole season.
Yeah,
I'm saying that there are people that would say, well, if we beat them, we're 10-1, 11-1. And I'm like, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
If I told you last year after Notre Dame lost Northern Illinois at home, hey, they're going to be in the national title game, you probably would have said I'm crazy.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not. It doesn't mean everything that game, but it means a lot
for sure.
But man, thank you so much for coming on, TJ. I can't thank you enough. I know how busy you are. Anything you want to promote, talk about, man? Please. Had a great turnout today, by the way. I don't know if you saw.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me. Always a fun time to just get on and talk FSU. Yeah, double fries, no slaw everywhere. So if you want to check out some FSU stuff, we had some videos drop yesterday. We got more coming today and through the week. And then fall camp starts on Wednesday, so we'll have even more stuff coming. And listen, even though that we're kind of in the rut right now, like I'm still excited for football season. I'm excited for it to get here, and it may blow up in our face again, but whatever. I'll be there one way or another. So
I love college football so much. I'm just going to watch the other games and enjoy it then.
I have no problem. Yeah,
and I'm not saying I give up on us. I still watch our games.
Yeah,
but
Georgia let me down. I'll just watch everything else too.
Yeah, I love 100%. It in general. I'll admit, with the Stanley Cup run the Panthers were on, I was in such a hockey mode where people in May and June were talking about, I need football. No, I'm good. It was finally about 2 weeks ago that I was like, okay, I'm ready for football.
Yeah.
Even ACC Media Day, like I found myself paying attention to and listening, and even other coaches talking. So I'm just happy football's back.
Yeah, it's the best time of year. Kids go back to school and football's back. Like, what more could you want out of a month?
Exactly. I mean, I always got excited, like when first day of practice, where some people say, "Talk to me when the games come." Give me practice. You can't have the games without practice. That's all I will say. But TJ, thank you so much. I'm going to put your stuff in the description. I know you got a tailgate event for the FSU Bama game.
Yeah,
stop by and see you there.
Absolutely.
So
be a ton of fun, man. Can't wait for it.
Awesome. So thank you so much, and we'll have to do this again sometime, man.
Yeah, anytime. Let me know, buddy.
All right, thank you so much, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Go Noles.
Go Noles.